I don't know. Why is this?
I didn't even get the alert that you're on. Are you on?
I'm on.
I'm on this stream
Oh,
right
okay,
now.
because it's not even it's not even showing you here for me. What the freaking hell?
What the
So you
hell?
gotta
man?
Oh, there
refresh.
you are. There you are. When I'm doing
Uh-huh.
you in the search, it shows you.
Oh,
Oh no, he
you do.
unsubbed.
He's doing me.
This
Yeah.
is Gall's delicate way of saying he unfollowed your ass.
All
Yeah.
right.
No, it says I'm following. Like, although let me tell you, Paul, Twitch does do that sometimes. It does.
Oh,
boot
it most
you off
certainly does.
Mhm.
of that shit. Because sometimes I lost follows, and then it was like I followed you. I don't know why I'm not following you anymore because I didn't say unfollow. That's really awkward.
I've
They
had
would
that
laugh it
happen.
off. I mean, everybody would laugh it off. Obviously, everyone's fine with it, but it's just kind of like I would always be like, I really don't want people to think that, and it's like Twitch puts you in those awkward positions where you're kind of like having to say, I didn't unfollow you for some reason. It just isn't. It removed my follow of you. I don't know why that happened.
There's a streamer I absolutely adore called Emily Rose Windy, and her mother, Windy Mum,
Yep.
is in there constantly, and she has had herself get unfollowed from her own daughter's stream at least 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah. Like what the hell?
That's actually kind
And it's a
of
regular viewer.
not even just regular viewer. Her mother.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand if maybe it's like you don't frequent a stream, maybe they do something so like that, but even that doesn't make sense there because clearly, like, a regular viewer
I followed them for a reason.
doesn't make any sense. Yeah, like
Somebody
just
who's
weird.
got just a few hours and a few months on the followage.
yes.
And
I mean,
welcome
come
to
on,
the
man.
welcome to the podcast. I'm Solid. To my left, Captain Dark. To his left, we got Gal 416, and to his
Hello,
left, that's Paul from That Family Games. Round of applause.
Yes.
And we were just talking about ad breaks and getting unfollowed.
Fun stuff to start a podcast with because the regular comes on of Twitch.
I mean, I'm sure you guys recognize Paul from, one of his own streams from when I raid, when Bud raids. You might recognize Paul from Frank's stream. Usually yelling at Frank, "Keep up with me, you bastard!" Or
Which, let me tell you,
or you might recognize Paul from another podcast with Bud Cave TV. And if you don't recognize him
Yes.
from any of that, then where the fuck have you been?
yeah, true. Fair point.
Well, you're right. Well, shit.
And welcome in.
Called you out, chat.
Wow.
So, other than that, how's it been going? How you been?
Is that to
Yeah,
little
yeah.
me?
That's all to you?
Oh, I've been good. The past week or two have been an upturn after August decided to take a hot dump on the life around the house, but things are better.
Sweet.
Just got back to streaming this past couple days and feeling good about getting back. I can't wait to get a new TV again. So because right now we're playing on our 14-year-old Panasonic Viera that's like a 26-inch 720p TV. So
Mhm.
the pixels, I need more pixels.
You gotta love the pixels.
Well, glad it's turning around and everything, man.
It is. Thank you.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we've done. We know you've had a hell of a month. You're getting your feet back into streaming. You just started again this past Tuesday, I believe it was. And how did that actually feel, getting back into it?
Well, doing the nighttime streams that I was doing, Nicole, for those of you who don't know, my wife, Starry Nick, is a retail manager. And so she's been, obviously, because it's now September, they had to put together all of Halloween. Just like, here you go, put everything out. And so she's been working late nights. She just did 2 midnight to 9 a.m. shifts in a row the past 2 nights. So I started doing some night streams just to give myself something to do, and it felt good. And of course, playing some comfort food games for me, like playing Spyro 2. that has been good for my little baby soul to play something that is familiar, fun, engaging, and doing a little bit of RA grind. But I'm looking at that final Ripto fight with all 3 phases damageless, and I'm going, oh come on.
I feel you.
Oh, I've done it. Spyro 2, I know Dark did it before he deleted the badge.
What?
Dude,
Why'd you delete the badge?
Hold on, the
Paul, he
Uh-uh.
just hands up like, wait, what?
I fucking got pissed at the motherfuckers that was cheating on Tales of Fantasia, and I was like, fuck RA. I said, fuck this shit. And these are my own words, by the way. But I was like, fuck it, I was pissed. And I wiped all my badges, all my progress. I deleted progress from Star Ocean 2,
Ouch.
Tales of Fantasia, Spyro 2 and 3 that I had already bashed. I got rid of all that shit. I was like, fuck it, I'm not about to do this shit no more. Then I was like, I got the itch again. I was like, you know what, fuck it. I said, at this point, let me just fucking finish it and keep it moving. So I started Tales of Fantasia, back up. That's the only game I've done on RA lately. Well, not even lately, but I got all the way back up to like 215 achievements or somewhere around there. But I got to reback Spyro 2, which is fine because that's the easy one. But Spyro 3, I don't really care to play that one again, but I'm going to just to get the badge. But man, it's just like, yeah.
He just went like full. He just burned everything down. He was just like,
I did. I burned everything. Now I got to do it all again.
The entire amphitheater.
You said you've been playing Spyro 2, and I think I caught one of your streams. You were playing the remaster, right? Or remake, I
was playing the remaster like last year. Now I'm just back on the regular PS1 version.
Okay. Which one do you like better? Do you prefer the original for either nostalgia reasons, or do you prefer the remake just because I guess it looks better?
I prefer the original. I appreciate the remake. But I am one of those folks that when they got to character design, especially in 3, Sheila the kangaroo, why did they give her hips and a booty? Why?
Yeah, that was you know what? I agree with that. That shit is a little over the top with Sheila. That was
As soon as I saw that, I was playing it. I was playing that live on stream, and Ryan laid back with a beer. Was
Oh,
in
Jesus.
There. Yeah,
I know where this is going.
As soon as I rescued Sheila, he went, "Oh, hello, sexy kangaroo," and I'm, thanks, Ryan. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan, for ruining our childhood. Appreciate it.
Right.
One game at a time.
Right there is when I grabbed this and refilled my glass like I'm doing right now, and said, "You know what?"
Mm-hmm. I do debate sometimes when they make changes like that to certain design or certain things especially if they're going just simply for a remaster. Like, I guess if they're making a remake, I could kind of understand that they go in a totally different direction with character design. But when you're just remastering a game, you're just literally bringing it to modern consoles and you're just literally carrying it over. Like, why? Why would you change something like full blown about it? You're just carrying the game over. You're just doing 100%. Just do that. Leave it alone. Nobody's going to say anything about it. But no, let's do this. Let's spruce something. I'm left with, why did you do that? Why did you have to do something that wasn't broken, that nobody asked for? Nobody was looking for that, except Ryan, maybe, but that's another story.
Yeah, well, that's Ryan, and we let Mr. Bidet Boy do his thing.
True that. But yeah, I'm with you on that, Ryan, Paul.
Okay.
That's
okay. So I see
I'm all
why,
over the place today. Okay, I'm tired.
I see why they gave Sheila hips. At least she is a female character, right? A female kangaroo. And they looks like from the pictures they have wider hips, or mainly because of the pouch that they carry the babies in. So I can see the wider hips. Now the booty part, I don't know about that.
It's a kangaroo character. I mean, we're talking about a cartoon character.
I get it. Hold on, I get it. I am still on your side about this. I said I see why they gave Sheila wider hips, but I don't get the whole booty part. Now, like I said,
they Shakira'd the hell out of her.
Yeah, damn right.
Yeah, I get. You know what? I don't. Even the original 3 was never 3 was never my favorite. Like when I first played it on the old, like the OG one, it was okay. It wasn't like Spyro 2. I had just gotten on Spyro 2 because I played them in aqua order. I played 2, 3, and then 1. But I just gotten on Spyro 2 when I was a kid, and went to Spyro 3, and Spyro 2 has the super fireball power up that you can use and all this other shit. Solid, what the hell are you doing?
What?
Let's see. But keeps putting a bear when I talk.
I'm not doing shit.
Motherfucker.
This is what you get for not being on cam. You have abdicated all choice.
Yeah, it's only a matter.
Cam
It's only a matter of time.
The whole podcast.
It's only a matter of time before It's only a matter of time before he puts a picture on mine.
I don't doubt that. But okay, so 3 was never my favorite. You had Spyro 2. I think Spyro 2 was like the perfect one because you had replayability. You had all the levels were fun as hell. Most of the levels were fun as hell to play. The bosses were fun as hell. And then at the end of the game, you get the super flame fireball or flame breath. So you get to turn around, make a new save, play the new game with the super flame power up, which makes the game like 10 times easier. There's a lot of actually glitches and shit that you can do with that, but it makes it easier to play the game. And all the bosses except Crush can get melted with the super flame powerball because Crush runs around with his fucking stick, so he has to like slam the ground or some shit. But Gulp and Ripto and all like the first, second, and technically third, even though you got the ore power up in the third form, you can melt them with the super flame power up. It's like satisfying as hell to go back through all the levels and like get revenge on all the enemies and the bosses and stuff. But then you get to 3, and 3 is like, okay, you got all these levels, but you have no replayability. You don't get anything for beating the game. I won't knock Spyro 1 for that because it's the first one, but Spyro 3 should have had something to make us replay all those fucking levels again.
And I think Spyro 3, and to your point, yes, I think here's kind of like my quick little thesis statement about the original trilogy. 1 established a whole lot of wonderful things, but the formula and the mechanics were not yet really polished. 2 nailed it. The mechanics were tight. The story was good. Replayability was high, just like you said. Completely agree. 3, they decided to get a little too cute with extra stuff, with extra, all the unlockable characters, and it just became a bit of a bloated mess. It's still fun. If somebody said, hey, you got to play 3, I'd play 3, but as far as preference, 2, that's top of the walk for me. Right there is 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's talks of a Spyro 4 because Crash 4 was still pretty well, so.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's heard there might be a Spyro 4, and I kind of hope there is. That'd be neat. Maybe a whole new story, or hell, even continue on from the previous villains, or maybe a whole redesign of a Hero's Tale, because I didn't care for that one either.
Spyro 4, Sheila's backing it up.
Oh yeah, that's no.
Hey, they already started that whole meme, so who knows? They go full throttle, no holes barred, and we all just collectively roll our eyes.
And suddenly Ryan returns to streaming, and we all go, we all saw this coming.
Yeah, Ryan returns, and we're all it's the sign of the apocalypse.
That's why I go all the way over to Kick.
Oh damn.
Wow, is it amazing how Kick had its heyday in June and July, and now almost nobody's talking about it anymore?
Oh well, it was that one experimental kind of phase, and it lasted for what, a few weeks?
As I always stated, even from the get-go, Kick is not bad. It still has potential. But the problem for streamers like us, retro streamers, I knew it didn't have the community. The community was... It was only brought over from those that saw us on Twitch that wanted to follow.
Yeah. Most of the people who came over was us. And when we were going over and supporting, it was it wasn't going over because we're supporting them.
It wasn't even the full Twitch communities either. It was just partial.
Yeah.
No. And again, that whole thing to potential. I once had a swim coach he had a way with words. He was almost like a Baptist minister with a clipboard on the pool deck, and his favorite quote was, well, potential. Potential is just a fancy French word for maybe.
Well, yeah, it's just maybe it can happen. But
Right.
to be honest, I went over and just enjoyed time with. You know, the thing is, I didn't even get caught in the platform or anything. I just went over because either Bud was streaming or Lifted was streaming or Throg. I was just going over just to spend time with them. But the problem was is that their apparatus was just difficult for a lot of people to really engage with and do stuff. Like if you were mobile or you had other things going on, it was just much more of a pain to do things for them, and it just kind of sapped it after a while because it was just kind of like I mean it's not like I'm the biggest fan oh yeah Twitch Rura and everything like that. It's just like I was just like, well, it was just easier for me to just come to engage with the streams that I already had here as opposed to going over there, even though I still have an account. I just haven't used it in a little while.
And the streamer burnout is real because, I mean, like myself, I was doing 2 a days, plus trying to cram everything behind the scenes into such a small time frame. It was just bad.
Yeah.
For me personally.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that makes me a bit bitter, like a Luddite, that I was holding out. But I just know that for us, for what we do as That Family Games, we're so kind of we're kind of light and loose with how and when we stream, because it's got to be as I think I hear my wife. Hello, honey.
Hello, Nicole.
That's fine. Go for it, honey. That for those of you who might be watching or listening who don't know us, it's myself, it's my wife, and our 10-year-old son, and we do it when we all feel like doing it. Or like if I would never, like right now, go live with them both home if they didn't feel like it. I wouldn't say, go somewhere else, I'm going to stream. We always do it together. Or if we're not, it's because JJ's asleep or Nicole's not home or I'm asleep and she wants to do it. And so setting up that whole thing to do 2 different platforms and go on to Kick, it just wasn't going to vibe for us. We've already got this thing on Twitch.
Yeah.
That would be trying to shoehorn something together, and no
Yeah,
offense.
No,
Kick.
it makes sense.
And that would actually kind of kill the family vibe to try to force yourself from going from one platform to another, back and forth. That could be very draining, I would say.
Extremely so, especially during a time that we were already so drained. There was so much going on to think, okay, well, we better do our Kick stream. Oh, hell no. No.
I think I seen Nicole wave hi, but it was kind of blurry.
I saw her.
Yeah. She's chilling in Jackson's room with him. He got a new Lego set for his birthday, and she's helping him with that. And she's got her Switch, and so she's probably going to sit down. They like to play Animal Crossing together, except he's playing it on his DS. She's playing it on her Switch, and they're just kind of showing each other their islands and hanging out.
Nice.
That's cool. I mean, speaking of it, Paul.
Sure. Hold on. Somebody wants to say hello.
Of course. Hey, Nicole.
Hello.
Hey. Hello.
Hey. They say hello.
Have fun.
I was just saying, because, we were talking about, as you said, Paul, that a lot of what it comes from is that you stream together as a family. I mean, one of the things that I always like to hear from everybody when they talk about like how they got into streaming, where it was that their identity, where they felt like this is something that we can do together. Most of the time when we see streamers, it's usually, the person, their experience, and they have it around it. But for you especially, a big strength of you guys is that you stream together, and that's the vibe that comes into it. Where was it that started for you, where you sat down, like part of that whole aspect of streaming and playing games and doing those things, where it's like, I want to incorporate this with those I love around here, that we all share in this kind of experience together? Where did that come for you?
Okay. So it's funny. So I don't go on Facebook anymore, except usually once a day, to go look at the memories section of here's what happened on this day as you've been on Facebook, to see old pictures and videos of all of us hanging out, stuff with JJ growing up. And when I do that, 9 times out of 10, I see a memory of something of us introducing gaming to Jackson over the years. Like the first time he must have been 2.5, sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor right here in front of me with the NES hooked up, and him watching me play Mario 3 and me handing it to him and him just kind of, fiddling around with it. We always enjoyed gaming together. We didn't kind of ramp it up to the level that you see now until COVID happened, because I still am a little less so now because of COVID. I'm a pretty extroverted guy. I love the company of others. I love being with people. And so when we were all shut in this house, I mean, I wasn't teaching anymore because they closed the schools down. Nicole wasn't working because she was a non-essential employee. Jackson was home. We were getting so bored and lonely, really lonely. And so playing games was a way to have fun, but then I wanted to include people in the experience. So first thing we did is we started streaming. I just literally pointed a webcam at the TV and put, like an Audio Technica 2020 condenser mic in the middle of the room so people could hear us. And just streaming it on Facebook just for friends to come in, not even under That Family Games. We didn't have that name for about 2 weeks. It was just on my personal Facebook account so that people could come in, chat, and be with us that were our friends that were already on Facebook. Amidst the chaos of the initial closed lockdown of COVID. But then the gaming, the camaraderie, us, both the fun of it and kind of the comedy of the competition of it. I mean, you guys have seen many clips of us with Mario Kart Double Dash, which is kind of like one of our signature games. But it really is, it became a comfort. And that comfort then grew into, we could meet more people if we went on Twitch. Let's try it. And we made the name. I already had a relationship with our channel artist, Kai Newton, aka Kai Pie, who does stuff for the Game Grumps. And so I commissioned a logo from him, and it just kind of grew. And so back to your question, Gal, of then us being able to rejoice in the growth and kind of community that was growing around this thing, it just increased our passion for gaming. It really did. It took me from being the kind of guy who would maybe plug in the PlayStation and play a little Final Fantasy IX or Spyro once or twice a year to somebody who really, now I know way more about the retro gaming world by exponential leaps and bounds after 3.5 years of doing this than I ever knew before. I mean, just watching Lifted Senses earlier today when he was playing Gunstar Heroes. I didn't know much about the Sega Genesis because I never had one, and none of my friends did. And so it just became this really cool infusion of nostalgia, and the shared nostalgia and the new nostalgia of other people's experiences. I didn't know anything about Tales until I friggin' met Dark.
And we're all better off for it.
Oh yeah. but it's to your point, Paul, as you said, that it's like, this kind of, I think that's really what's great about the heart of like when we engage with the games that we grew up with. It's not just how much they were so formative to us and how they really shaped about what it is. But for you especially, when you say looking at your son and seeing how he takes on, gaming and he's making it his own as he's flourishing, that's got to be a very special experience as well. Kind of that you're kind of seeing it from the outside now, like you yourself were experiencing it and now you're seeing your own. I can't imagine how that must be. That must be a pretty profound thing about it. That must be what makes retro or any games for it like especially profound in that way.
He popped his head out of his room the other day after school. If he has a great day at school, I say, get your homework done. You can have a little time playing on your DS, and then we'll do dinner. He beat the Clone Wars on his DS. He'd only had it for like a week. He beat it. He comes out holding up his DS. Daddy, I did it! I'm like, hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Now,
it's just awesome.
You had touched on it a little bit. But you guys were a product of the pandemic boom of streamers.
Hmm.
And there was plenty. I've seen them come, I've seen them go. And you guys have lasted 3 years so far. Growing up and watching JJ with it also, it's really became like watching you guys grow as a family, as a channel, coming from a pandemic boom, which most people have failed, gave up on. It's actually really amazing to see. So, future stuff. I mean, we'll get into that because I know I was in your stream the other day when when you said Kai Sent came in, and of course your color change on your name. We'll get into that later. But you just got a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
You're going to be getting into that. What else, game wise, can you see yourselves doing as a family? Dance Dance Revolution?
Oh, hell no. Although here, I'm going to give you guys a little giggle, maybe a little BTS behind the scenes of my own life. So I was a musical theater actor and performer professionally for years. I actually have my bachelor's is in theater with minors in musical theater and dance. I have a minor in dance. But you ain't gonna see me DDR and bullshit. Hell no.
What about karaoke?
Now that I would do, and we have done channel point redemptions for us singing, but I went through a little period of time just with stress and also just a little bit of mild allergy stuff where singing full out was not really happening very well for me. So we took that redemption down until my voice was back to a way where I knew I'm good. I can do it the way I used to do it, because if I'm going to sing like I'm in a 2,000 seat theater, and I got to sing to somebody sitting 150 yards in the back of the house, because it's what I used to have to do. I don't know another way. But as far as the games that we're getting into, Steam is offering new stuff for us to get into for sure. I know Nicole is chomping at the bit for Little Nightmares 3 and for Silk Song from the Hollow Knight series.
Is that come? What has there been a date on Silk Song? I've been waiting for that shit too.
I haven't seen. I think it's still not until next year.
Man, what the fuck?
Well, hey, there's one we've been waiting on for at least 3 years called Little Kitty Big City. It's basically Untitled Goose Game, but with a cat. And they got slowed down. Their devs got slowed down a lot by the pandemic. And they just released the demo on Steam. And that one's all JJ, because that's totally his kind of thing. It's an open world exploration, have fun, be a cute kitty kind of thing. So we all kind of have things, and a lot of it is the key to that is going to be getting the new TV, because Solid, this very kind soul that he is, sent the Wii Paper Mario game for Nicole to play, and she's going to be all over that. Oh, Shiza, what was it you so generously sent for Jackson? I'm trying to see into the cabinet across the room.
I think it was Sonic Heroes.
Sonic Heroes for the GameCube. He's going to be all over that.
Heroes.
Yep.
Things all banging.
And for me, I Gall will probably remember this. I started a playthrough of Final Fantasy VI like 2 years ago. And that was when our first gaming PC was just starting to circle the drain. And then it did. And so I lost my save file. So I have a personal list. And by the way, the three of you, please feel free to add to this as we talk.
Of course.
Of certain formative cornerstone games of consoles, let's say up to PS1, that are, you better have at least given it its due and tried it out. And there are some of those games that I never got to. I have never given Symphony of the Night a proper try. Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger,
man.
because I either didn't have the console, or I'll admit, I mean, all of those are, very big, very involved games. Those aren't just pick up and play.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm going to admit very much so that there's an intimidation factor that bears on me when it comes to some of those games. I look at Symphony of the Night and I go, can I mechanically play that game? Yes. But do I have the patience and the wherewithal to play such a large Metroidvania game that's very involved, very detail oriented, and just a lot of stuff? I mean, to the point where even Frank has that famous clip of, see, Gal, he just knows. How does he always know? He just fucking knows. When he was trying to find something up in some tower.
Oh yeah.
This is not a game that you just kind of go. You gotta really immerse yourself into it and really take the time. And
Absolutely.
I'm a little bit more of a plug and play kind of guy, but I still feel like I'm missing certain experiences with these big games that are just so crucial to the history of gaming. I think I need to take some time and get into those.
I mean,
there was a
I mean,
streamer,
And to quote Franks, I need to stop being a bitch and just do it.
there was a streamer, Hamsh. He, almost similar like what you're talking about, was the 1001 games I need to play before I die.
Yeah, he was
love
doing
it. The Banana Man.
Yep. He did exactly that, and he would go through a whole bunch of different games with that very idea in there. I mean, the way I see it, Paul, is, I mean, never pressure yourself too much with it in like feeling about it. I think the key thing is just going with it, just flowing with it, just playing it and experience the games how you do, because one thing that people I always talk to, they're like, I really want to play these games, but I don't want to disappoint that I might not feel like how you do. And I say, of course you're not going to feel it like the way I did, because I grew up with them. I mean, it's not going to be quite the same as what someone who was 9 years old. I mean, Paul, I played Symphony of the Night when I was 9 years old. I mean, when I was around JJ's age, I was playing that game. I mean, there's just no way that someone who's not been like where you had not as much experiences and all. I mean, that was my life at the time. That was a lot of things, and really, that's why a lot of times when I went to play other Metroidvanias, I liked them, but I would always tell Frank or others, it just doesn't feel the same way. Like when I played Symphony of the Night, it felt so large and felt so imposing. Like when you try to play it, just try to picture like the size of like the castles you're going through. Like that was the big scale that I was going through about it, that it felt alive in that sort of way about it. And I think just make it your own, just experience it the way, the music, the different things, and just feel about it, because I think that's what the developers were really going with when they were trying those games. I mean, they put so much, and the funny thing is there's some throwaway details in these games that they throw in there that only later did I realize, like, wow, they put it in there. They did this entire castle, and they threw this one random thing in here. Like, you see their passion for like the amount of things that they sat there and they would create things like this. And I only realized that later when I was older. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't notice those at all. And only later on came to see that every time I would play the game, there would be something new that I would learn that I didn't realize the last time about it. Like, that's the beauty of those games, I think, is that they're like, they have different layers to it. It's just amazing to see that, despite the lack of technology, the fact that they had to do more with those less kind of capabilities, and they came out with games that even to this day we find meaning in. And I just want to put out there that through all of it, just experience them your way, man. And I would love to know what you think of them afterwards, because I love to go up to people and be like, what do you think of this game? And if you don't come away liking it, that's fine. I mean, I like, people like throw out there, oh, if someone doesn't like Symphony of the Night, will you be upset about it? No, I want to know what someone else coming to it experiences it, and they come away with what they feel about it. They're not going to be me, and it would be unfair to them to say that they have to experience it the way. Like, so experience them, Paul, and let me know when you can, because I would love to sit and I mean, obviously I'm not going to try to tell you everything about it. I am not going to be like a certain someone laid back who likes to do certain
Right.
things like that. But I'm going to want you to experience them and really, see those games for what they are, and then we can revisit that, brother.
Can I draw your attention to chat real quick, Gal?
That's great.
Wow.
We're so on
You
the
see-
nose, solid.
You see, and Gall, that's something I've always appreciated about you, and I kind of want to do a quick little 1, 2, 3 with the three of you on this one. When I started playing Super Metroid,
Yeah.
you were on there watching me because I know that you have this amazing story of you watching your uncle, I believe it was, playing
Yep.
it.
Yes.
And I love that episode of the podcast, the BCTV podcast. Yeah, shameless plug for Bud. But I that story resonates. I still remember that, and so I started to play it, and I remember I got to a point where I was like, I didn't screw myself, but I was definitely at a point where I was about to get, I think, the freeze beam,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like right at a point where it got a little too much for me, and I had done like half a dozen, or no, way more than that, attempts to make a certain thing happen. I had beaten Kraid, and I think I was going towards Crocomire. I think my knowledge of Super Metroid is
Good. I know what you're talking about. No, I know.
And it wasn't pissing me off. The game wasn't bad. I wasn't pissed off, but I was definitely going, this one just isn't speaking to me. It's not bad. It's not that every game has to speak my love language perfectly, but that one just kind of went, ugh, I'm just not. I mean, for context, my favorite game, and I've been talking about this lately with people, but if somebody had to actually put a gun to my head and say, you get one game to play for the rest of your life, what is it? Mega Man 2.
Oh, dude.
I mean,
Linear,
Excellent.
blast my ass through that thing, and just, it's always fun. The music's banging, the levels are great, the bosses are wonderful. I could play Mega Man 2 on my deathbed and die a happy man. And so the Vania style games kind of don't hit me right, but that isn't to say that I don't want to try them and give them their due. And that's what I want to say, because same thing, shifting over to the left on my screen for Captain Dark, I have never once played a single second of any Tales game. But I love JRPGs. Final Fantasy IX is my second favorite game.
Oh, 9.
So,
that's a good one.
Oh, 9 just... Oh, did you guys see the Memoria Project trailer? It was a bunch of
Yes.
devs and artists.
It was beautiful.
Oh my
Yes.
god, I was rock hard. That I did a reaction video on YouTube of that. I was giddy like a fucking kid on like 50 pixie sticks and a Jolt Cola, just
Dude,
going, I
it's
want
amazing.
this.
It's amazing.
you just
So
have
9 is just but the fact that I love Final Fantasy 1, 7, and 9 are awesome to me, and I've never touched a Tales game. I need to fix that. I do.
There are so many good RPGs out there, man. Like,
Why have you, after all this time, have you not touched the Tales
oh
game?
god, here we go.
God, that's what I was.
That's a loaded question.
No. Simple reason. Honestly, my circle of friends were so Final Fantasy focused that Tales was not on their radar. And due to my age and when I was really playing games and in my formative years, the internet was not, I mean, social media didn't freaking exist. So I wasn't exposed. I didn't know about that other series. I was such a Final Fantasy fanboy, but then I also didn't have the exposure of this other series in my life.
Hold on.
Hey.
I'm talking about recently, because I didn't start. My very first Tales game wasn't until I was like a teenager, and that's
That was just
the-
2
yesterday.
years ago.
Right.
Shut up. That was when the PlayStation 2 emulator was really in its infancy. Like, it was bad. You had to do so much tweaking. And the very first Tales game that I actually played was Tales of the Abyss. It was, like I said, early PCX XE, or not PCXE. What's the PCX?
I know what you're saying.
That emulator was so early, it was so hard, and I ran that game off a all-in-one which is not the best choice to do, but I did it anyway, and I got it. I managed to get it to work. So that shows you how far along they had came from the first PC that I ever had to try to use it to the next PC, that all-in-one that I had, and tried to do it. Because I ended up getting Devil May Cry 1 to work, Final Fantasy 10 to work, and Tales of the Abyss to work, all with no slowdowns. So, but that was my very first Tale game when I was like a teenager. I think early teens is when I first played it. So I'm talking about more recently. I didn't play the older titles until I went on and played the entire Tales of series.
So I do have an answer for you, and I don't mean to be heavy amidst the fun, but it's liberating for me to say this because this is something that I've only alluded to. So this is going to be kind of, here you go, here's your exclusive content. When COVID happened and we started that Family Games, it was about comfort and community. And so for me, nostalgia and familiarity were a very big balm for what I was going through. Before COVID, I had minor clinical depression that was easily handled with a very low dose of meds. Not a problem. Didn't even need therapy. Just a little bit of, I feel off. Hey, doc. Okay, take this pill. We're good. But then COVID happened. And everything completely fell apart. My entire career as a teacher was destroyed. I was a teacher for 20 years, and that was taken away from me. I was then diagnosed with depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and here's the big one, a nervous anxiety disorder that I have had to go through intense therapy, including a partial hospitalization program where I was in therapy from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 5 days a week. And so part of that is the way that that's translated into that Family Games is that this is a place for me to have familiarity and comfort. It's like, I had the crappy day at school. I want spaghetti and meatballs and garlic bread with my family at the dinner table, and I need to chill the fuck out.
Okay.
And so there have been a lot of times that, like right now, with everything that's been happening in the past month, going back to just Mega Man 2, Spyro 2, I've needed that. If suddenly it was put in front of me like through like a wheel choice or something like Frank does, which much respect to him for that. If somebody said, "Oh, you now have to play this game because somebody spent channel points to do it," that would probably actually mentally mess me up, and I wouldn't stream. So that's why the modern stuff, when it comes to Tales, and and I shouldn't say maybe, this is a conversation we should even have, after the segment that I know Solid is going to be having in a moment, of what is the entry level. This is your first experience with Tales. Don't worry. If you're a Final Fantasy guy and you love 1, 7, and 9, you like Secret of Mana, this is the game that I bet if you tried it, after about an hour or two of gameplay, you'd get into it and you'd be happy and you'd be comfortable. I'd like to have that conversation.
I can honestly say Fantasia. Turn off RA. Don't think of RA for it. Tales Fantasia.
Just play the game.
If you do Tales of Fantasia, like they said, turn off RA. Don't, because RA will fucking ruin your experience. It'll be ass. Don't do that.
Just play it.
Play the game. It's actually really fucking good.
And it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and another starter entry, and especially if you're looking for like the pixel retro, like 6 and stuff like that, that's one to go for. If you're looking for something like 7, 8, 9, go for you go for Eternia, I guess technically, but a real good one as far as your first one would be Tales of the Abyss, because that one, any Tales fan will tell you, Tales of the Abyss is one of the top tier. Actually, it's like or a better one. Well, not really a better one in my opinion. But story-wise, Abyss is like top tier, period. It's like, they're just like a non-spoiler about it. Main character is a whiny little bitch, but he gets better. You just gotta get through that. But
Tidus?
So he's Cloud.
Tidus.
Yeah, it's similar to that Tidus, yeah. but main characters, he gets way better, and everybody loves that. So if you're looking for a great story, with similar to like 10, I guess, then go for Abyss. If you're looking for more pixel, go for Fantasia. If you're looking for that in between thing, kind of go for maybe Eternia.
Okay.
But those are really good starter entry tales. If I had to choose one, given how what you said, you kind of looking for some kind of maybe nostalgia. So we're talking like Spyro stuff, PS1 days. Go for Tales of Fantasia. Like Solid said, it's a really a fun ass game. The character development is actually pretty nice. The gameplay is fun as hell. There's a lot of shit you get to do in that game. It's pretty damn good. Dungeons are really good. I wouldn't tell you to play Destiny right off the bat because near the end.
Well, even Frank, who's done like a little bit of Berseria, who also played Fantasia, would even tell you Fantasia's a great place to start. Just don't do RA for it.
Yeah, this is exactly what I needed. I kind of needed almost like, when if you're getting into wine, you need a sommelier to kind of guide you into wine. I needed my Tales sommelier to guide me towards something that I might like based on my prior tastes. Now, I know you need to go to the next segment. I do want to put a little bookmark before I, take my little break. I'm just going to say one word with a question mark. Grandia?
Ooh, Grandia.
Oh, Grandia.
And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so we're gonna leave.
We'll come back to that one.
We're gonna leave Dark up there, filled with joy, about to explode. Can't contain himself.
Grandia's fucking good.
But we are gonna head on over to the next segment with Gal and Dark, talking about sports and entertainment.
I know, right? Why, hello there, everyone. Gal 416 here with your regular dose of sports events. As we await the return of the podcast, let us take a look at the different activities taking place here and around the world, particularly those sports which are clearly well respected and well known. Let us get to it. This October, chess boxing will be taken to another level as Olympic gold medalist Burke Ruud takes to the ring. Ruud will take on TV personality Nicolay Ram, which will be the centerpiece of an episode of the hit TV show Helt Ram Sporter. The show features Ram taking on celebrities at unusual and wild sporting events, but he will have his work cut out against the super fit 23 Olympian. Headlining the event will be a heavyweight title fight to shake the foundations of the World Chess Boxing Association. David Northern Powerhouse Germany will take on Matt the Minotaur Coldwell, both with an ELO in excess of 2,000 with a power to match. Germain's previous opponent, the Bulgarian beast Yordan Yordanov, will be back in the ring taking on debutant Dylan Martins in what is tipped to be a fascinating strategic chess boxing match between these two heavyweights. Exciting indeed. A Nebraska man paddled 38 miles down the Missouri River a couple of weeks ago in a boat made from a hollowed-out pumpkin to celebrate his 60th birthday and hopefully set a Guinness World Record in the process. Dwayne Hansen set out from the public boat docks in Bellevue, Nebraska at about 7:30 a.m. in the 846-pound gourd and arrived in Nebraska City just after 6:30 p.m. The pumpkin vessel had the name SS Bertha written on the back and had a cup holder carved into the hull. Hansen's wife, family, and friends were also there to document the journey. The city's post said, with some of them following him in a proper boat just in case the pumpkin ran into any trouble. The previous record for the longest journey by pumpkin boat was 25.5 miles set in 2018, according to the website. Once a year since 1999, on Lake Poswade in Windsor, Nova Scotia, everybody gets out their giant pumpkin for the Windsor Pumpkin Regatta. They decorate their pumpkins in bright colors and off they go for a half a mile of pumpkin kayaking fun. God, is there any limit? I wish I could do something like that. We've all heard of snake charmers playing woodwind instruments to lure reptiles out of baskets, but how about charming worms out of the ground? The third annual Fallmouth Worm Charming Championships was held in Cornwall a couple of weeks ago, which saw hundreds of worms enticing up to the surface. Birds imitate this by pecking at the ground or stomping their feet, but humans have a variety of methods, including playing instruments, banging garden forks, dancing vigorously, or by simply asking very politely for the worms to surface. This year, competitors managed to charm 260 worms out of the ground, a massive increase on last year, which was held during a heat wave and only saw one solitary worm reach the surface. Some techniques used during this year's competition, including praying to the worm gods, writing a love letter to the worms, playing the didgeridoo, or blowing into vuvuzelas. The event, which received arts council and feast funding this year, proved a major attraction with worm portraits, worm tattoos, merchandise on offer, and a brass band enticing crowds. Huh. God damn. The Nespokoro Lions will be hosting the Wisconsin Lawnmower Racing Association on Saturday, August 26th. Do you hear that, Frank? The races will be held at the Lions Park Arena and Pavilion, which is 1 mile north of Nespokoro on Highway 73. The Wilmore was started in 2005, a local chapter of the United States Lawnmower Racing Association. A unique growing sport, they are home to some of Wisconsin's fastest lawnmowers, traveling the state of Wisconsin, putting on races for fairs, festivals, events, and other venues. The racing show begins at 1 p.m. in a week. As part of this event, the Lions will also host a classic car park and shine at 9 a.m. Corn tournament follows at 4 p.m. with cash raffle drawing at 4:30 p.m. Delicious grill food and fresh corn on the cob will be available for the purchase. Well done, indeed. That sounds fun to me. This past weekend, thousands tried their hand at being the very best that no one ever was at the Pokemon World Championships. Players from across the world gathered in Yokohama, Japan to battle their Pokemon against each other across multiple platforms, including trading cards and video games. Players spent hundreds of hours planning out and building a 6 Pokemon team, eliminating any potential weaknesses. Victory is pretty lucrative, too. Over $1 million in cash and scholarships were handed out over the course of the weekend. More than 1,600 players registered for the competition, and its live stream averaged more than 2 million viewers a day. And that is your sports overview. Let me hand it off to our very own Captain Dark. Take it away, Dark. I guess he needs a break then. I see that right now. Well, as we await for the continuation of the podcast. We will be back.
Well, the continuation. It's
I
right
guess we
now.
can start earlier.
Paul should be showing back up here shortly.
That's
Dark,
fine.
Dark had to leave us for the night. Something came up. Gal?
I hear ya. Did
Gal's
you
in
love the worm competitions?
But yeah.
I hope he's all right.
He's fine. It's just
Well, he has to take care of business. I know that
Right.
happens.
things happen. It's live, people. Enjoy it.
We're doing it live.
So the Grandia question, I don't know if it was directed towards you or Dark, but we will find out second when Paul gets back.
Oh, no worries. We just pick up and we talk where we are. I mean, I don't know Grandia as well as Dark, but you know.
I
we can roll with
recently
it.
had just played it myself.
You played Grandia 1, yep.
Yep, and it was fun. It was good. I enjoyed it. Justin was a crying little bitch, but you know.
Well, it looks like our viewership didn't dip too much. They would listen to me go off on worm championships and lawnmower racing.
I mean, gotta love lawnmower racing.
Hey, it's Frank's favorite sport.
I mean, if I lived in Kentucky, I would do it.
You know?
Need that face for
You
him.
get it.
Let's get a screenshot of the gasm. Oh, lawnmower racing.
Exactly.
Have you ever tried
Seriously.
lawnmower racing?
I can't say I've really lawn mowed too much. I probably have done a little bit of it, but it's not like I've ever had multiple people around me to ever be like, I'll race you about it. It's usually been a solitary experience.
Solitary?
I see.
Oh,
You see, and you can't even blame me for it. You can't even blame me for it. Most of the time, people would blame
Yes, I
me
can.
for
You
coming
two have
up
been
with
hanging
puns.
out too much.
We're finishing each other's sentences.
Exactly.
Pun sentences.
Um,
Paul's like, what am I going to do with you guys?
we'll move you over. Are you going back
I've
on?
already given up.
You going back on cam or?
I already am on Discord, aren't I?
Oh, shit. It's my end.
I see him here.
I don't know why he does it, but okay. We got you back. Welcome
There
back.
you go. I see.
There
him.
we go. There we go.
It's you know how you click buttons and buttons don't work. God dang it.
Yes, I know it all too well.
Well,
Yes, I watch Bud Cave TV.
Hype.
I do got to say, even though I was streaming before, Bud kind of took me under the wing also. So this is where I'm learning.
Yep.
Oh, trust me, the first couple of months, and again, this is I'm not trying to friggin' give Bud a reach around, but I learned a lot from that guy.
Yes.
Because he would come onto Discord voice and kind of walk me through setting up stuff like my bots, alerts, and things like that. Because I didn't. I come from the theater world. I know sound, I know video editing, and I know performance. But OBS, Streamlabs, the chatbot, the alerts, and setting that stuff up, that was definitely not my forte. And so if anybody here is watching or listening later on and wants to go, how do I learn how to do this? Well, first, YouTube. Second, get in good with a kind of kind, community-minded streamer, and after a certain amount of time, pull them aside and say, hey, can I bend your ear for 5 minutes about, I saw something cool that you're doing on your stream. If you don't mind, could you show me how you do that if you've got time? And I would appreciate it. But that's after you've gotten a little bit of equity with them. But Bud was one of those people. He's like, dude, you've been watching me for 6 weeks. You seem chill. Let me help you out. And so I really appreciated that.
I know with Bud, when I first started coming in, I would troll him as usual. Nothing new.
You still do.
You still do to this day, Solid. That's why your entry is always that. That's why your entry into every stream is always that same clip. Fuck you, Solid.
So just don't do like
mine is me with box head going, play stuff.
Just whatever you do, don't come into the streamer and start harassing them right away. I did it generously.
Well, that's with Bud. That's what you do for Bud. I troll him all the time too. like when he was playing F-Zero on Super Nintendo.
Oh
He kept
God.
bumping into the walls, and I was like, "Oh, wall bumping. That's really great." He was like, "You shut up."
Now, we're going to get back to the troll part, and Paul, this is directed towards you. I've been known to troll my friends, and earlier in the podcast, you had brought up me giving Nicole Super Mario, Paper Mario, JJ that Sonic Heroes. What did I give all?
Oh, here we go. I know where this is going. Oh God, I'm afraid. Oh no, Solid. Did you really? Did you really?
Couple things.
Okay, hold. Yeah, a couple things, you dillweed.
Oh God, I'm afraid.
All right, in order of escalating bullshitty fuckery. Well, first,
Let's widen this up.
No.
Get this a little bit bigger so they can see.
a little skyline chili, which I am totally down to clown with.
Chili. That picture.
To my biggest fan.
Oh wow.
Solid Cage. And then finally, this
Coup de
little
grace.
piece of fuckery.
Oh my god. Wow.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I am born and raised Wisconsin Badger boy. I am from Milwaukee.
Ooh,
And so to have that in my house, the fact that I have not set it alight in flame
yeah, for you
is a
especially. Yeah.
is a testament to my friendship with Solid here.
Yeah. Wow. That's almost a
And,
declaration of war. That's almost a declaration of war on that kind of level.
I think I told you the story behind that, didn't I?
Oh.
So when I was getting it, it was at a Speedway gas station. They had a full display of Ohio State stuff.
Mm.
And I seen that. I was like, that is perfect. I grab it. I go up to the register to pay for it. And the cashier was just talking. I was like, yeah, well, I'm shipping some stuff out to a friend out in California. He's a big Wisconsin Badger fan. And she looks, while scanning this, straight face and goes, you're an asshole. I died laughing.
Succinct. Well put. Well put.
I knew I hit it right on the nose.
That's like
that's
like
when I
sending...
opened it up. Let's just say I was nonplussed.
I could just picture the contortion, like the amount of emotions just going through. It's like you open, like, really? It's like sending Red Sox paraphernalia to a Yankees fan.
You don't do that. You
just don't do that.
You will lose body parts for that nonsense.
Yeah.
Oh God! And speaking of Bud, look who just entered the chat.
He pops in just
for that.
Wow.
And
but getting back to it, yeah, I mean, trolling friends. I mean, what are friends for, right?
That's what
all
we
in
do.
Good fun. All in good fun, though, up to a certain point, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but you were saying about Grandia earlier, Paul. Before we went through, I know Captain Dark is no longer with us, but I still think.
Don't phrase it like that.
No, I didn't mean that in that way. Woo.
Pour one out for our homie.
There. But no, he had to step away, but like he was still very excited about it. And I've only dabbled in really a couple of games in the Grandia series, but Grandia was made by the same group that made the Lunar series, that I'm sure many people know that I'm very intimately into when it comes to JRPGs. They also made Grandia as well. Game Arts developed it as well, and the funny thing is Grandia has taken off in a lot of different compilations and stuff for it. Lunar's kind of fallen into kind of obscurity for other reasons, so it's kind of interesting, like the flip side of it. But I always tell people when they say it, I'm like, yeah, I played it. It's a different game than Lunar is, but it has like that same. I can kind of tell it has like a similar vibe with like it does. I don't know if it quite has the same. And again, I say as I spoke to earlier, Paul, about the experiences that shape when you're growing up and when you're experiencing games. For me, since I grew up playing those RPGs when I was very young, clearly that's going to sway a lot of how you view certain things in certain ways. For me, I played Grandia when I was way older. So while it was a good game and I really enjoyed it and everything, it didn't quite have the same experience for me like it did when I played Eternal Blue, Lunar, all those years ago when I was very young. And it's just a consequence of it, I think. I don't really hold it against the game. I think it's just because I just wasn't in the same frame of mind in it. But it was still very fun. The battle system was fun. The music was really good. Everything about it for me was really good stuff in it. And by the way, I think Grandia 2 was, I don't know if he composed the first game, but I know his name, Idawara Norore or so forth. I have to look up his name, but he was the same guy who composed the Lunar music. He composed a lot of Grandia music as well. So it was kind of interesting to listen to some of the music. It's interesting when you listen to a lot of composers and you start to pick up on a lot of the nuances of how they develop their music and stuff like that. And I would be like, this sounds very familiar. And then I looked it up and it was the same guy. And it was like, oh, well, that makes sense in that way.
Oh, totally. Like, same thing with Uematsu. You can Within about
Yes.
5 minutes, you can pick out Uematsu.
He has a very distinct structure to his music when he
Yeah,
does anything,
and-
character tunes, anything.
It just, yeah, certain composers just have their fingerprint, and
Yes.
you can definitely pick up on it. Oh gosh, help me out here. The Mario composer,
Koji Kondo.
yeah, Koji Kondo, same thing.
Mhm.
Just you could pick it up and just you go. It's signature. I mean, it's like, you can tell the difference between a song from the Black Crows versus Rush versus
Yes.
yeah.
They're just
Hey,
so
Lifted
distinct.
Senses in the chat. What's up, Lifted?
Like they're so they're so distinct that you can tell about it, and that was definitely something that I experienced listening to Grandia's music. But you were saying about Grandia earlier, Paul. Was there some? Are you thinking of getting into Grandia as well, or have you played Grandia?
Haven't touched it.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that it came to mind is this is yet another shameless, I wouldn't say shameless plug, but another reach around. Another creator that I really like is Aaron Hansen, aka Ego Raptor from the Game Grumps.
Oh yes.
And he has a series that he did on YouTube. This is almost 10 years ago, called Sequelitis. And he
Yes.
talks about these kind of grindy games, and he mentions Final Fantasy IX, which of course is a game that I love. And is it grindy? Yeah, it's a JRPG. But he says, these games, they're not necessarily hard, they just take a long fucking time. It takes your time, and time is an illusion of difficulty. But he says, look at games like Final Fantasy IX, Grandia, not exactly hard, but they just take a lot of time. But if I like 9, and I looked at that one little clip he showed of Grandia, he's playing like a giant squid boss or something.
Yes.
And I went, looks kind of cool to me. I could get down with that. I mean, the first RPG I ever played was Dragon Warrior on the NES. I am looking at my cartridge of Dragon Warrior right now. I freaking love Dragon Warrior.
Me and you both.
Grindy. It is the definition of grind. But
Yes.
I freaking love that game. You are a knight saving a princess, battling dragons and wizards, and there is a bit of lore, and I love that game. I could always play Dragon Warrior, especially the SNES remake, Dragon Quest one, when leveling up became 10 times easier. Well, that, and also they made Princess Gwaelin into a thirsty little thought. She straight up is like, instead of saying in the NES version, "Dost thou love me?" and you have to say yes or no, it's "Dost thou think of me at night?" And you go,
Ooh, wow.
Well, yes, I do, but then I have to sleep on my side.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and it's amazing that they were able to have lore and all that sort of stuff for an NES game. That they were able to kind of flesh out and have all those aspects. That's why when people say, "Oh, the RPGs really didn't have anything until the Super Nintendo," I'm like, "No, they had things
Bullshit.
in the NES era. Yeah, absolutely." I'm like, "Did you even play them?" They absolutely had it going.
Final Fantasy 3, even though it was only released in Japan, played that for the NES. That was fantastic.
And it had such a fleshed out job system too that they refined in 5 later on. But 3, I tell people when they're like, "Ooh, 5 is really fun. This was the first time the series did it." I'm like, "No, it was 3. 3 was the first time that did the job system, and that was on the NES." And people are like, "Really?" Yeah.
And see, and that's, again, those are games I need to get into because, like, even with Dragon Warrior, I've only played 1. I've played 2 a little bit, but I need to go more into it. But for me, like, as soon as I mentioned Final Fantasy 1, the first moment that I ever was playing a video game, and I wasn't just like, "Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's cool." But the first moment I went, "Oh, yes," was in Final Fantasy 1 when I defeated Garland, and then I was able to build the bridge and there's the title sequence with the
Yes.
Final Fantasy theme as you
Mhm.
cross the bridge and really start the game. As I hit that bridge, and suddenly, you see the pixelated character standing on a hillside, and it has your quest now begins, and it plays the theme. I just went,
Like you didn't think it. You didn't think it's like, wow, now it starts. Now the game, yeah, it's just amazing. Like Final
to this
Fantasy,
day,
man. Like let me tell you, so
that
many of those games
still
are
gets me.
amazing. For me,
And this is
Paul.
where,
For me,
yes,
Paul.
and this is where the Final
Yeah.
Fantasy fanboy thing. So go for it, Paul.
But Paul, like that experience for me was like in Final Fantasy. If I was to say like a game that kind of had that kind of experience similar to me, was when I was playing 7 for the first time when it came out, and when you leave Midgar for the first time, and you see the world map, and the theme of Final Fantasy 7 starts playing as the screen loads and it's showing everything around. I remember as a kid when that came up, and I just sat there for a good few minutes, just mesmerized, just blown away, like because you're spending time in Midgar for the first few hours, and that's your world. It's huge. It's a bustling metropolis, everything, and then you go out there, and Midgar is like this small little city, and you see the entire world around you. I can't really say I've had an experience quite like that since then. It was so blew me away how that experience of there. That was kind of that what experience you said for 1, that was kind of what it was for me when I played 7 that first time. It was like, oh my god, this is the world. This is the actual game.
100%. Especially, and this is again looking at game devs, and not just the devs, but something being a theater person, I want to give credit to those who are the ones who craft the story, the lore, the characters, and the thing that exists as a script, as a screenplay for an RPG. In that moment, when you finally leave Midgar, I mean, obviously, you've had this very different experience of you have the battle with Rufus. You then have the highway chase scene. You have the battle with the droid robot thing
Yeah.
at the
Armor
end of
tank.
the bridge. Yep, and then you kind of crane like with a hook. You kind of almost like bungee rappel out of there,
Yes.
and then you leave Midgar, and you see for the first time the overworld map, and the nearest thing is Calm Town.
Yep.
And you go there, and then there is this easily, gosh, it must be like 20 minutes of exposition in that inn with the whole party. And to those of us who have played the game and just want to play the game, that can be so ponderous. But to somebody
yes.
who's never touched it before, this is the writers saying, look, we're not dropping you into a swimming pool. We're dropping you into the Great Barrier Reef. There is a lot that's going to happen here. We have got to front load you on this. Otherwise, you're going to get lost. And yeah, you're about to drink from the fire hose. It's going to suck for a little bit. But trust us, you will thank us later if we give you a lot of this lore now.
And
so that you have the operating language to be able to understand what the hell is going on. Because once you get past the Chocobo farm and across the swamp, it gets thick, and it gets thick quick.
Oh yeah.
that was also the thing, because when you started 7, the story was completely different from when it was beginning to Calm. The story you start with in 7 has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. If anything, I like what they do with Sephiroth by introducing him as a villain, the steps by steps. Like you first hear of him in the Shinra Tower, kind of like, oh, Sephiroth is this. And I love the first time you hear it. What happens is it's just like it's little flavored like play pieces where you see his name pop up. But the one time at the Shinra Tower when Barrett's like, oh, he's fighting Shinra. That means he's a good guy. And Cloud just has like this face like, oh no, he's even
Bitch,
worse
please.
about it. And that time when you're getting through the Shinra Tower and you see that he leveled everybody, including the president, and just that horror music that just plays through. I'm still getting chills hearing because they don't tell you anything about it, but they have moments just like that to explain to you who Sephiroth as a villain is, and you're just like, it's perfect at telling you I don't want to run into this guy.
The fact that his
perfect.
Masamune is sticking out of the president's
Yes.
fucking back.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sephiroth to me at that point wasn't the scary thing. It was Genova in the cell.
Oh yeah, Genova's pretty freaky.
When
too.
you see that, it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. That was one thing in the story that kind of was an interesting juxtaposition for me as a kid, because you see the headless Genova, and that's freaky at first. But then Barrett would go up to the window and be like, what the hell is going on? Where's the damn head? And that somehow made me laugh as a kid, even though it was supposed to be freaky. It was like this juxtaposition where Barrett just was like, what the hell's going on here? I was just loving it. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'd react like that too.
Mhm.
That's exactly what I would
Freaky
react
for
to
me.
if I'd see that.
Freaky for me was Nibelheim when you look in and you see the flashback and you see the monster inside of like the cell. That's
Oh
like,
yes. Oh yeah.
and Cloud goes down. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, like
And
what the hell? Yeah.
Oh,
There is more to this. And going back to your whole thing with Midgar, I mentioned before, I think this might have been in the pre-show, Emily Rose Windy. She plays more modern stuff, but somehow myself and some of her mods convinced her to start playing Final Fantasy VII, the original, on PS1. And she was cruising along, and she got to the point where Aerith had been kidnapped by the Turks, and
Yes.
you had to go to her house in the slums and tell her mother. And so she took a little break and she's sipping a drink and she's just going, "Ooh, I'm having a lot of fun. I wonder how far in the game I am." And I put in
God.
the chat, yeah, you're about 2% in. She full on spits her drink out. 2%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went,
Yeah. That's the amazing part of how they tell the story. That she's thinking, oh, this is like, you think of Midgard, that it's like some contained or whatever, and then you go outside and it hits you like a ton of bricks. Like, wow,
yeah, gotcha,
there's
That's
so much
what-
more of this game.
that's why
that I
it's
have to
3
play.
disc.
Actually, Paul, you bring up the scene where you go to tell Elmira that Eris was kidnapped. Oh my God, that scene where she tells the flashback and tells her story and everything about losing her husband and everything with Eris,
somebody
that
important
never
to you has
ceases.
died.
That never ceases to always move me every time I play the game. That it chokes me up, and I guess it hits me more because I've lost people. Like, because the game is very much. If you hear the background of Final Fantasy VII, Hironobu Sakaguchi was faced with the death of his mother when he was putting 7 together. And the story and everything. So the whole live stream and everything about that sort of thing, you could really, like, when I was told the story about what he was dealing with when 7 was in production and going through the coping and everything about that, I was like, the live stream and everything took on a whole other resonance for me in a way about like the passage of life to death and the planet and everything. Like, it was like, that it almost seemed like that was like, it's so organic that it would come from something like that for him, because he was still very much centered to Final Fantasy at the time, that he was really putting the theme forward and everything. And it's like, that makes more sense to me now, that he would take that kind of story with it, and just that with Elmira, like the feeling of loss or the feeling of stuff like that, like it just evokes the game so much. At that point of coping with loss in that way.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. I learned about that a bit ago. He was dealing with such pain and loss about it. And when you think of what Final Fantasy VII is, like what the core messages and aspects are there, it's like, it feels so much more to me now because I knew that aspect about it. Like, that you kind of see that now, more in that from those kind of
completely.
vestiges
Right.
in there. Yep.
It's that there's a moment of dialogue that came immediately to mind, and that's after a certain major plot point that I'm not going to spoil, but a character looks and says, well, what about me? What about my pain? My heart is burning. My eyes are in pain.
Yes.
I can feel this. What about my pain? And this other character just goes, what? You shouldn't feel pain. And so I'm trying to be as vague as possible.
Oh yeah.
But that is now, because now I kind of understand the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Doesn't it-
amplified
Yeah.
so much above and beyond. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about I made a joke earlier about art imitating life in Throg's stream, but that really is when you have, and this is where I get so pissed at people saying that video games are not art; they're not artistic. Shut up.
Yeah.
I've been kind about that in the past and saying, look, we all have our opinions. No, when you've got people that are putting in this much time, this much love, this much everything into a creation,
Yes.
yeah, this is art. It might not be outrightly, something that is made to be artistic, but it is deriving from the narratives of the people who are working on it. So, I mean, even
Absolutely.
let's go back. Legend of Zelda, NES, 1986. That was completely Shigeru Miyamoto trying to recreate the myth and the joy and the mystery and the excitement of exploring caves near his home in Japan.
Yes.
And so he made a game that was based on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're saying that's not art, you need to go fuck yourself.
And you bring up an interesting thing, because by bringing up Legend of Zelda, that ended up being such an inspiration for those who would go on to make Dragon Warrior or Final Fantasy. It's
Right.
kind of interesting that from his Miyamoto trying to replicate that experience of adventure, that he ended up being the catalyst for other genre games and series that would end up in a way growing out of that and defining for us in a lot of ways too that very notion of role play and adventure in that way.
Oh, dude, there are. I hate using that thing of the Mount Rushmore of video game people, but if there was a Mount Rushmore, dude, Shigeru probably gets first slot.
Oh, he would be up there. Yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of franchises of Nintendo. He's right there at the forefront.
And even if
of
he
it.
was, and even if he wasn't the one at the forefront of it, all the people that were around him in
Yes,
in the different R&D teams. I mean, I know he was R&D 3 was his unit. All the other R&D teams in the early NES days, when they saw what he was making, just went, okay, we need to shut the fuck up and look at this guy, because he obviously gets it.
yeah.
So
And-
he gets first bust on the Mount Rushmore of video games. Done.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just amazing, just kind of, again, like really seeing, and as your point about art, it's very true that like the more you see with it, I mean, again, for me, it was Lunar. That was really the RPG. Like of course, Final Fantasy VII was one that was really near and dear to me. There's a bunch of different ones. Lunar Eternal Blue was probably the one for me, Paul, that kind of was the one. And it's funny because I was young enough that my sister actually was the one who was into Lunar first. And as a little twerp, I would always be with her like, oh, you like that game? It's all friendly. I'm being stupid, immature little piece of crap.
Sibling.
And yeah, sibling, indeed. But she turned to me and she said, if you give it a chance, you will like it too. So I took her on her word on it. I sat down and I watched my uncle play Lunar Eternal Blue for the Sega CD. And I can tell you, even as a
Underrated
young...
console, by the way.
Yes, exactly. And even as a young kid who doesn't really have the nuances of storytelling or anything about it, I was captivated. I was really blown away by how, because again, at that time I was really only playing Mario or, platformers for the most part. But it really blew my mind that, when you sit there and you're like, games can tell a story and they can leave you with something long after you turn the console off. And the game's done. And yet, when there was a scene of the characters all saying bye to each other, I felt like I was there with them. Like they were saying goodbye to me. These pixels on a screen. And yet, I felt like friends, like you were saying goodbye to them and they were going home to their towns or whatever, and you're going home with your squeeze, wink wink, at that time, and you're going home to live life. Yeah, I didn't think that at that age, of course. That's me now being facetious. But the point is, so I'm taking something wholesome and completely ruining it. I know, chat, but point is, that was something. Yeah, I know, that's me. That's me in a nutshell. But to get back to it, that's what you say, Paul, with art. I can definitely see that about it, because that's when you realize that it's like, it's not just something you're going from point A to point B. You're not just getting through with it. There's something else going on here. There's something else that's being told to you. There's something being shared with you, and it's wonderful. It's great. It's what any great art piece is, that you see at a museum or you see at an art gallery or anything, that you're taking it in and it speaks to you. The game is leaving that kind of impression with you. So if it's doing that, wouldn't we call that art? Wouldn't we call that something of artistic expression that's being a part of it?
Yes.
I think so. It seems so to me, at the heart of it, to get to your point on that, for me.
100%.
For viewers in chat, get ready for viewer questions, which is coming up soon.
Of course.
I would have let you know 15 minutes ago, but
We don't know how to shut up.
you get
What
you
about
get
you?
Gal going. Yeah, get Gallum.
No, Paul. I mean, I share Paul's impression
And-
about it. We very much, when we're playing
Right.
our games, that's why I speak to him. When we've had conversations like this when I've been in chat in his streams or whatever. It's been the same way. It's like, this is what I feel about this game. This is what it is about it. And he looks right at me and he says, Gall, that's exactly what I've taken away from it. I feel exactly like as you, that it's not just a video game to pass it. The things that make these important is because we look at these characters not just as pixels on a screen, but they have dimension, they have form, just like any characters in a movie or in a show that you're watching, that you get connected to and you care about. Like, I'm going to go right with Final Fantasy IX. Vivi, one of my absolute favorite characters in any RPG that I love, and is one of the most well-developed characters, I think, in any kind of story, that by the end, seeing the kind of development he goes through, the strength of will that he finds to carry through and support his comrades in there and everything. Just one of the Final Fantasy IX characters that I absolutely, and for Final Fantasy IX, I used to not like Steiner when I was young, and now looking at it, seeing the kind of character, yeah, I used to think he was like an oaf and he was annoying and everything, but you know what? He's one of the most interesting characters in the entire story, seeing what he goes through and that he finds the strength to stand by, that he's willing to lay down his life to defend Zidane. At Zidane, sorry, I go back and forth on pronunciation. That he's willing. And he says, I'm not leaving you. I'm right there. No brothers in arms. A brother in arms does not leave you right here and there. And in the scene that I know, Paul, that you and I both share, where he's on Terra and he's at the moment where he's ready to lose everything, and his friends come through for him to stand by him in that moment. And I'm sorry, it's when you see that you're like, I love this game. I love this
That
game.
music.
Yes.
You are not alone.
Yes.
That and there's a reason why that is my entrance music in Lifted Senses stream. That piece of music, just, there are things that people say, oh, that speaks to me, or I'm connected to that.
Yeah.
When I hear, and I'll admit, I'm not the biggest fan of the version that I gave to Lifted, because I gave him like a metal remix instead of the original game score. But that first dun 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 dun. When I
Mhm.
hear that, I get chills
Yeah.
because he's at the end of his rope. And as I mentioned earlier, with my journey in the past 3 years, one of my biggest things, and I know I'm sorry I'm getting a little heavy, is accepting the help of others, the advice of others, the comfort of others, the ability for others to say, "Hey, I've got you." Because I was very good at saying, "Fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Just
strong
like
enough.
Zidane.
I can do this."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that took on a very, very different meaning when I replayed it on a stream about a year and a half ago, because now my whole narrative is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Before, it was just a game, and I understood the character, but I didn't identify with Zidane. And so, but when that was playing, and there's those little like black screen flashbacks of somebody talking, "Oh, you were a hero." Yeah, I used to think of myself as a hero, and him
Yep.
going through everything he's going through. See, for me now, I don't just go, "Oh, that's good storytelling." I go, "Holy shit, I get it."
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at that, and again, also with Vivi, um, the way he talks in the Black Mage Village when he has kind of his large moment at the cemetery.
Yep.
You just go, how could you not possibly be moved by this? And because canonically, Vivi's supposed to be like what, 8 years old?
Yeah.
He's as old as
Around that,
Echo.
right.
Yeah.
and so for him to go through this and just this is just good writing. It's like watching a really good movie and just going, "Oh my god, the screenwriters get this, the actors
Yeah.
got it, the directors got it, and you nailed it." How is this
Everything
not
about
art?
it. Yeah. Everything about it, which is why people are so excited, as you said, at the prospect. You have people excited at the prospect of, the Memoria project or others. It's just like to see a chance of seeing that game again. People love that game so much. I do too. It's it evokes everything. And I tell people always, because like I say, look, if you want to play 9, play 9. But there's like a side to it too. Because sometimes I'll go back and forth because I'm like, 9 is great. You'll appreciate it no matter when you play it because it's a really good story and it really harkens, I think, very much to the human condition. That's why those stories are really great, because they connect on such viscerally on those kind of things that we can all identify with. But part of, I think, also why I tell people to hold off on 9 right away is that if they experience other Final Fantasy games, just that a lot of references and stuff that the game does, you'll appreciate so much more if you've played earlier games and you hear the music or the references or different things they say in the dialogue. You'll be like, I get that. Like you'll get that kind of reference to it, because 9 was so much a swan song of the traditional Final Fantasy at the time. It was really that
Even
team
if you've just
really doing that. Go ahead,
sorry,
Paul.
go ahead.
No,
So
no, go
even
ahead.
if you've only played one,
Yes.
just the four shrines, and hearing like the Mount Gulag theme,
Yes.
and you go, "Oh my gosh, you sneaky bitches!"
Yeah. And you
And
see, because of your fandom, you caught it. You were like, I see that. I had to tell someone, I'm like, listen to this. And I played from Final Fantasy 1. I said, now, and then they all say, oh, that's that theme. I'm like, yeah. You wouldn't have noticed
And-
it in there.
and it's almost like a great chef who has created a 5-course meal, and from the amuse bouche at the beginning to the dessert at the end, there was this little through line that made you go, "Oh, it all comes together."
Yeah.
And if it hits, you just go, "I feel so amazing that I hit that, and that I got that, and that it's there, and that you made it happen. Thank you."
Yeah. And it's just, I think it's great that they played it up, that it was that kind of, like, you could tell in all the facets of it that it was the last time the team was really together in that way. They had been like a lot of the similar players had been together for a number of Final Fantasies. 9 was really the last time that that team really had that kind of camaraderie. After that, like people either left Square or they went to different projects or stuff like that, and they never really quite had it. I mean, even Uematsu, he stayed on for a little longer, but 9 was the last sole composition that he did for Final Fantasy, and that's what makes that track so poignant. That soundtrack so poignant, because you're like, it's almost like Uematsu. It's the fact that it's his sole like epilogue to the series, his
He's taken a
sole like
bow.
thing. Yeah, and I think it's a great way to go out, because 9 is probably one of his best soundtracks to me. I think when you look over the pantheon of tracks he did, and there's so many great ones. I mean, you know, it's tough to pick, but I'd say overall 9 is definitely up there among his best.
I do want to defer back to our host, but there's only one point I want to make because I haven't been able to say it. For 9, I love Zidane. I love Vivi. My character theme that just, it sings, it speaks to me, it draws my heart every time. Freya. The
Oh, yeah.
theme to Burmecia.
Yes.
When she goes back in there for that mission to save her kingdom. And it's not her fault, but she does fail, arguably. But the theme to Burmecia, da 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 da,
Yep.
just
Such a sorrowful part.
when I used to direct children's theater, and I would do original scripts, I would borrow from video game scores, from OSTs, and whenever we had a tragic hero that was knocked to their knees, I would use themes from Freya's journey. It just, Freya, to me, if I were a Final Fantasy character in the whole canon of the games that I've played, I identify most with Freya. I just do. This person who just wants to do what's right and protect those that they love, even at the expense of their own happiness or comfort. And it just,
so Sir Fratley, that whole aspect of and she's still, I mean, I love the ending is so poignant, because, you know, it's not that he remembers fully what she is, but she's okay with that, because she wants him to be happy and she wants to live a life with him. And she's like, I'm not focusing on the past. I'm looking to the future with him and building a new relationship with him. It's like, dear God, that still gets me, you know, in
Every
there.
time.
That's good. But anyway, I'm sorry we're
Solid.
sapping over
I'm sorry.
9 Solid. Sorry.
Solid.
like, he's like, what's going on here?
This is my freaking channel. This is my podcast, and I haven't said anything in 30 minutes, you assholes.
Sorry, Solid.
No,
Take away.
I said something 12 minutes ago, and then let's go ahead and get the viewer questions in if there is any. And Paul, what I talked about in the first hour, you had mentioned you had changed your color when you get in chat. You got your channel artists, to redo some things. Any clues or anything you could share with us about that without spoiling the surprise?
No, it's not a big deal. So I wanted to kind of refresh things, and I had talked with a couple of my mods and with Dan. I'll admit, with Bud about this. We streamed a bit in June and July, but man, the numbers have dropped off. And anybody who says they don't look at numbers, I'm not going to say that they're lying, but in the end, they might not look at the numbers live. They might not look at them the day after, the week after, the month after, but eventually they're going to look back and they're going to look at the trend. And our trend had come down. And this is something that you had said, Solid, earlier about the COVID wave of everybody, who was coming in at that time. And some people really were able to ride that wave and see some big numbers. Um, and our numbers were down. And mostly, the biggest thing I was looking at is viewership and chatter engagement, not subs, not bits, not the things that were monetarily coming back to us. But I was like, people don't seem to maybe be digging what we're doing. And so that's why we also took a bit of a hiatus in August. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, we are in our living room. I mean, this is not a gaming chair. This is my, this is my daddy chair. And so we are very easily, within 5 minutes, able to put away camera, monitor, microphones, cables, everything. Put it away. It's like we never streamed a day in our life. We can do that in 5 minutes. And so when we came back officially a couple days ago, I said, I want to refresh things. I wanted to have new channel, new biddy alerts, new sound effects, new channel point redemptions, and I talked to our channel artist Kai, who, again, a fun story. I first met Kai because of Game Grumps Animated, and I actually had commissioned him to do a classroom video for when I was teaching special education, because here, little window to the teacher life. When you're teaching students, the biggest thing you want to get is teaching them how to understand how to operate in your classroom. That's called classroom management. And so if I could show them a 5-minute video that says, here is what is expected in my classroom as far as how you operate with me, other students, how you ask and then go to the bathroom, how you turn in work, how you interact with me on email, how you access my website so that you can see the homework. If I can do that in a 5-minute video, they're going to be way more engaged. And so I always had animators that I worked with. And one of the ones that I first worked with was a guy named Shevin Porznick, who actually ended up working with the same studio that does Bob's Burgers. And he animated me looking like a Rick and Morty character, but I wanted to update it. And so I found Kai, because Kai was doing stuff for the Game Grumps, and I love the Game Grumps. I've loved them for 10 years. But then COVID happened. I fronted him 50%. I'm very big on fronting anybody I commission, because you're an artist. I found you. You got skills. I don't want to leave you hanging. I'll do 50 front, 50 back. And then COVID happened. And I said, well, I already gave you 50 front. Let's see if we can pivot this commission into making logos for this new Twitch thing that we're doing. And we've made this great friendship. He's awesome. And we talk almost daily. And so when time came that we said we want to refresh everything for the stream, I said, hey, Kai, our color scheme has always been red and yellow. Nicole's favorite color is purple. That's still a color complement to yellow. Could you, if I gave you the movie files, because it's the .mov files for our this is what I get. Our overlays. I said, how easily could you switch that? He said, dude, that's like a 15-minute thing. I got you. I'll go into After Effects, no problem. And he did it. It was amazing. And
looks awesome.
And so it was a refresh, and that's why we also changed our color in chat to purple. It was just everything red became purple. And again, I cannot recommend Kai highly enough. Again, I'm not trying to do a reach around, but the longest story short, Kai is like 23, 24 years old, out there in England. He's a recent college graduate who is then also making just the most amazing freaking stuff. And
Mhm.
he's so nice and he's so professional. He is professional to the point that you would think he's older than I am. And the quality of the work that he does is crazy. And so the fact that I somehow got in with this guy, come on.
A lot of good people out there that
Right.
just
sheer
do
time.
good stuff.
He's amazing.
Mhm.
So we just wanted to kind of, breathe a little bit of fresh air into the stream, not have it be the same thing that it has been for years. And he was totally down to clown, did it, rocked it, awesome. And I just go, thank you. Thank you for being badass. And so again, it's that whole thing of I respect people who have skill, and he has got skill coming out the wazoo.
Mhm. Definitely true.
Now, yeah, I know you've done charity events and bunch like when Bud held it. I don't know if you've ever done RDP or any of them, but you've been charitable yourself. And I recall this one. I can't remember if it was during a Bud charity event or where exactly. You did the Five Nights at Freddy challenge.
Oh God. Here we go.
There's a Five Nights at Freddy, which you tried to do, and it scared the shit out of you. Yes, but then
Very.
there was another time you did the one chip challenge, which almost killed you. Why? Like not why did it almost kill you, but why would you do that? Like,
Because I think that was for the. Was that for AFSP? The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention? I think it might have been
I
an
think so.
AFSP. Yeah. Again, not trying to be heavy. Having been a teacher for 2 decades, and also just through my own life in high school, we have a thing as teachers, at least in my circle, we call the count. And the count stands for the count of students that we lost through either suicide or disease, death by disease, or by reckless accident, like drunken driving. And during a meeting of a bunch of teachers, when I was teaching at the last high school I taught at, my count was 3 times higher than anybody else. And this included teachers that had been teaching for at least 1 or 2 decades longer than I had.
Mhm.
And so raising money for suicide prevention, it's not a matter of whether it makes sense. It's just, how could I not? And so to put an incentive to have me suffer through some spicy shit that, yeah, it screwed up my gut for like a month,
Mm.
but I'm still alive.
Yeah.
And just for reference, my count at that time was 32.
Wow.
32 times that I had to go to services for the death of a
Mhm.
student. And so, again, I'm not trying to make this heavy, but that's the
is.
truth.
Mhm.
And that even included, and also, we didn't talk about this in the count, but I also had at least, I think at that time, 14 times that we intercepted students who were about to. So,
Oh God. Oh wow.
yeah, like I quite literally had a student who lived 100 yards from the campus who had had like a major trauma happen, and he stole his dad's truck, and he was about to drive. We live in San Jose. He was about to drive up to San Francisco and jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, and we intercepted him.
Mhm.
So there, but for the grace of all of the people that we have involved. So for me eating a spicy chip and puking my brains out, fuck it. And I've always jokingly said that I would never do that again. But if there was like some weird thing that somebody said, hey, you could save 10 students' lives by doing that again, would you do it? Give me the chip.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'll do it again. Fine.
that's true. That's what you do.
The Five Nights at Freddy's thing. Not to jump off that subject, but the Five Nights at Freddy things, we know it scares the crap out of you. Was that part of like the same ordeal, or was that?
That I think was another one. I think that was for the Trevor Project.
Mm-hmm.
That if we had a certain thing, I would do Five Nights at Freddy's for a certain amount of time. I think that was the Trevor Project.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the Trevor Project, amazing organization. Yeah, we have been too lucky with wonderful people being there for us and just showing the love. And so for us, charity it's not well, we better do a charity stream, otherwise people are going to look at us weird. For me, it's I want to do one because it's time, because we need to do our part. And so I think the Five Nights at Freddy's thing, which sucked. Oh my god, I hated that.
Yes, I
That was
remember.
horrible. Oh, to the point where even when we had a thing where Nicole was playing it, and I was on the couch,
Yep.
and Guten came in, and we don't have the sound effect anymore, but he did the Zoidberg. I went,
Yep.
God damn it, Guten! I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. It's funny that you brought up Guten.
It's all worth it. It's all worth it.
Oh yeah.
Because I would rather do good for the people who need it. Because here's me being very frank, not frank. Because
Yeah. No, absolutely no.
here is me being very direct. The past month has sucked, but we still have a home and food and power and water, and we're gonna be okay. There are so many people who don't have that. That whole, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Google that one. We're okay. It sucked, but we're okay. And so why wouldn't I try to help somebody else who is not, really not okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't, then I need to do a big fat shot, shut the fuck up.
Right there with you.
All right. I don't know if I haven't seen any viewers' questions coming in. But I guess any other new projects coming up or anything else as we wrap this up that you would like to talk?
Actually, this goes back to something, and I'm sorry that Captain Dark isn't here, and I hope he's okay. I'm on the side trying to get the voiceover thing kicking because during a BCTD podcast, Dark was saying, well, why wouldn't you try to do just like fan dubs of stuff to try to, show people your skills? And I'm pondering trying to get into something like that just to try to I hate saying flex, but try to show what I can do. Because I have done voice stuff for a long time, and so we'll see that. But more to the core of that family games, new games for Nicole, Jackson, myself, as soon as we get the new TV. Which, by the way, I am so shocked at how cheap the TV that we had was. A 50-inch Samsung, and I bought that for almost $500. Now there is, to the T, everything, all of the same abilities. An Insignia TV for $218.
My TV my TV that I use right here to monitor everything. 40-inch Vizio Eco 1080p, 2012. I bought it for damn near $500. A 40-inch TV. That just tells you how much they've all got down.
Yep. And so the time will come, but first things first. Rent.
Yeah.
Medical bills.
Yes.
Insurance. Let's get that before I go worrying about
TV.
entertainment apparatus.
Yeah, true.
We got phones. We can watch from that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, trust me, I'm looking at two like straight up laid back Ryan grade Acer Chromebooks that we have been using for entertainment. Because obviously this 14-year-old Panasonic Viera is not a smart TV. So it's going to work out. It will work out. We'll be fine.
Do you have
It's not like we're making up stories around the freaking fire pit in the backyard going, ooga chugga, ooga chugga.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Do that.
Any time schedule, time changes to your streaming, or is it still just whenever you feel like at this moment?
Pretty much it's going to be fluid, especially coming into this part of the year where Nicole is completely subject to the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first Halloween, then Thanksgiving, then Christmas, then New Year's, then Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of go off her that if she's working her ass off, the last thing I want to do is have her come home and she feels like she has to be on stream, or that she just does not want to be on stream. And so we don't. We adapt. We are one of the weirder channels on Twitch. And there are some people who say, "Oh gosh, we want you to be partner." Okay. Here's where I'm going to be very, very blunt with people. We're not ever going to make partner because we're niche. It's three of us, and the three of us need to align for this thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not going to piss people off, but it's not going to make for the kind of one-person stream consistency. Finally, the whiskey's showing. The one-person consistency that makes it so that you can depend on this product.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to happen. And you know what? I'm okay with that. We never did this to be partners. We did this to have fun.
Damn right.
And, well, Paul, thank you for being on here. Give my best to
It's a
JJ
pleasure,
and
brother.
Nicole. And
Having fun.
I'm sure they're still up back there doing the Animal Crossing.
Hope they're having fun.
Yeah.
Oh, Nicole's dead asleep. She popped out about an hour ago, and she, after the 2 midnight shifts, she mouthed to me, "I'm so tired. I need to go to sleep for an hour or two." I went, "Go. It's fine. It's okay. I didn't work 2 midnight shifts, so I'm going to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Grab a late nap, and dinner is already made."
I was going to say, you probably got to make dinner and get all that set, too.
Yeah,
So.
damn right. All good.
No, we already have penne
Already.
with sausage and roasted garlic. Everything's already done. It's good. We're good.
Mm-mm-mm.
All right, Paul. But once again, I'll get back into streaming tomorrow with Final Fantasy 6. We're gonna get Paul to start playing it. Final Fantasy 6.
Hell yeah.
We'll get Gal back onto deving. Something.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of beat.
It's been fun, Paul.
But solid. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. I greatly appreciate it. This was fun on the
Hell
bun,
yeah.
as I always say.
Always fun, man. It's always a pleasure.
And I will see everybody tomorrow. Have a solid
You guys
night.
have a solid night. Bye.
Try to steal my tagline, damn it.